And then I took a trip, which is meant to be like a kind of a holiday trip, to see what the UK was like. Well, now I'm a bit older. I was about age of 11, I think, at the time. So came on a trip. Obviously, mum was like, "Look, do you want to hang around? Do you want to stay around?" Because the intention wasn't to generally stay. It was actually just to come and see what it's like and assess, basically, I think. And obviously, I got mesmerized by the UK and obviously how developed it was compared to Ghana at the time and all that stuff. So it's like, it just looked amazing. It was like a place I want to live for sure. So she was like, yeah, why not? And then so that was me coming back to the UK and being.
So before we get there, what age did you go back to Ghana?
This is like a baby, man. Like
so
sub 6 months.
So you don't have any no
I can't even remember. Like I was literally
yeah?
funny enough speaking to mum recently saying, "Oh, have you got pictures of me when I was a baby, like a few weeks old and stuff?" And she actually got some pictures. So like, yeah.
Okay.
She used to live in Bermondsey, this council flat that she had at the time. And so that's where I kind of grew up the first few months.
Okay. And so, so your earliest memories are Ghana.
Yeah.
And describe the environment you grew up in Ghana.
So very basic, like nothing like crazy. It was obviously, we weren't like well off or we weren't like super poor or anything like that. There was like, we were okay. Let's just say that. But obviously as Ghana, like a lot at the time, a lot of it wasn't developed. And obviously there are places, don't get me wrong, that are super developed. But for me, it was an environment whereby I got exposed to kind of both sides of wealth. And it always got me thinking, like, how do we kind of become...
On that side?
Yeah, on the better side.
Yeah.
So being in that environment for sure kind of opened my eyes and exposed me to kind of like poverty and like wanting more for myself and family. And obviously we were okay. Like we had mum and dad, everyone had decent jobs and stuff. We weren't struggling or anything like that per se, but we had just enough basically to live, if that makes sense.
So at 11 years old, you come back to London.
Yeah.
Now, 11 years old for most kids is, you're going into secondary school.
Yeah.
And it's quite, even that transition of going from primary school to secondary school for most kids is quite, not confusing, but, it's something that you're having to adapt to and learn.
Yeah.
Coming from Ghanaian primary school and going into a UK, London, what part of London were you in?
Southeast London.
Southeast London, okay. So going into a Southeast London high school or secondary school, shall I say, that must have been a real culture shock for you.
Yeah, so like I came in at year 6, towards kind of just the beginning of year 6.
Okay.
So I did year 6, which I think was kind of in hindsight a good thing as well, because like you said, a culture shock, everyone's speaking slang or this language that it sounds a bit, it's English obviously, but it sounds different in my ears because the first time hearing it in that way, it's like, obviously having been around the people from the UK and how they speak English. And so it was like trying to catch on to some words. Like some people speak fast. I speak fast myself, but I might have an accent when I first came as well. All these things. So being year 6 kind of got me to kind of have that year of getting,
100%.
Readjusting to this, and then going into secondary school a year later. So
by the time you got into secondary school, do you feel like that year that you had in year 6 really helped, and did you make a lot of progress of like?
Yeah, 100%, because I kind of got embedded in the system, kind of got to know how things work. Yeah. Lucky enough, the primary school was literally up the road, so I could literally walk up to primary school. So it wasn't far from the house. And obviously secondary school was a bit further out, but like I said, by that time I kind of readjusted and it was okay now. So
education-wise, what are the major differences between Ghanaian education system and the UK education system?
I would say when I came in, for sure, I feel like I was ahead in terms of the curriculum. So what was learning in year 6, I'd pretty much done. And I remember telling my parents, I feel like I've done this stuff already. Like, why are they teaching us now? I feel like the education system is more intense. In Ghana, you're kind of loaded with a lot more like stuff to learn. Whereas in the UK, I feel like they were kind of more chilling. I feel like I felt like I was on holiday in year 6. Obviously, year 7, things got ramped up again. Obviously, new syllabus, new stuff, haven't been exposed to before. So.
But even still, once you got into year 7, did you still feel advanced and ahead of it all already?
Yeah, I think, I wouldn't say the word even advanced. I think it's more like in terms of difficulty. Like, I still had friends that were kind of going through secondary school in Ghana and kind of comparing, what you guys studying, what am I studying? I'm like, okay, you guys are definitely doing way more than we are in year 7. So I feel like there was still a lot more on people's plates in Ghana versus there is in the UK education system. So I generally do believe like there is I don't want to say better education, but I feel you learn more in the schooling system.
Would you say also the student-teacher relationship is different between
100%.
Ghana? Yeah.
I mean, I had a big culture shock when I came to the UK in kind of year 6, and how like students can have like a tantrum fit and have like start going mad at the teacher, and like in Ghana, obviously, like there's none of that happening. Like teacher shut up, you're shutting up. It's just like shut, like quiet.
And if you don't,
everyone's getting whipped. There's like a cane in the corner. I remember this teacher, I think his name. He used to have a group of guys. He used to call the guys. So basically, if he wants to like really punish you, there'll be a group of guys that he'll call. Like he's already appointed in the class. So he's like, all boys come out, grab him, and they will lay you out and start whipping you, bro. Crazy experience, but. That's obviously stuff that happens in Africa in general. Anyone that's grew up in Ghana, it still happens now. Like it's normal.
It's discipline at the end of the day, right?
You learn to respect your elders. You learn to be mindful what you say, what words you use. You can't just say anything. Whereas in the UK, like some kids can tendency to fuck off and swearing at them and like all these things and just throwing stuff at the teacher. And I'm like, dare throw something at the teacher in Ghana, game over. You're gonna get beat by the teacher, get beat at home. So it's like, yeah, it's completely different.
So would you say that kind of set you up very well, having the that first part of your education there, well disciplined,
100%,
ahead of the curriculum, as you said, in the UK. So you've come into the UK now, and you feel like ahead. You feel like you're advanced. Did you feel that at the time, or is it maybe something that you feel in hindsight?
Yeah, obviously, I kind of realized because I'm comparing the two environments, and obviously, like I said, coming here was different. Set up completely. So yeah, no, for me, discipline was instilled for me from a young age either way, because just a cultural thing in Ghana, even African countries in general, like you just got to respect your elders. You can't be seen to be insulting your elders or disrespecting them anyway. You've got to be super helpful. If you see someone needing help, you just help. It's just like courtesy, just manners, just stuff you expect to learn. UK, I don't feel like that is something they put on a pedestal. It's like, if you learn it from a good family, great. If you don't, it is what it is. But everyone, I'd say, in Africa kind of goes through that motion of, that you got to kind of be around to respect your elders, and you're the kid, you're the younger person, less wiser, and wherever your parents say, obviously, they know more.
Having the experience that you had, would you consider, if you stayed in the UK, would you consider sending your kids to Ghana for school, as opposed to English private or even English public?
I don't know. Obviously, now I feel like it's an extreme way, but it's a great way to create discipline. So I think I'd only do it if I feel like my child had kind of lost his way or wasn't needed it. Like I don't feel like it's a must. Like I said, if anybody's thinking about discipline, or someone who's got a kid that is super doesn't listen to them, just send them to Ghana for a year. They will change their ways very quickly. Like they'll come back a different person. So I think, if I needed to, I would. But it's not my first instance. I'm going to send my kids to Ghana. But I do want to expose them to Ghana for sure. Like I want to kind of take them around, kind of show them the poverty side of things, and obviously they're going to experience a different life that I never got to experience at a young age. So they might normalize being in a nice house, a crazy house, got a gym in the house, all these things and blah, blah. But for a regular person in Ghana, that's not like, even Wi-Fi, simple things, having Wi-Fi in your house. They're going to go home and think, oh, what's the Wi-Fi? Keep connected to Wi-Fi, there's no Wi-Fi, there's no data. And these are all luxuries. And not to say like people in Ghana don't have Wi-Fi, but it's not normalized in every single house or every place you walk into, an establishment you walk into where there's Wi-Fi available. If you can afford it, you can have it. Obviously, the facility is there to have it, but it's not readily available, and you don't expect to kind of see in every single house you go into.